The Unwanted Presence. Chapter 1. The Intruder. I've lived in this apartment for what feels like an eternity, yet the feeling of unease never truly subsides. It's as if I'm just a guest in someone else's life, waiting to be asked to leave at any moment. Every creak of the wooden floorboards sends a chill down my spine. Every shadow that flickers across the walls playing tricks on my exhausted eyes. At first, it was just small things. Misplaced items here and there. Whispers when I'm alone in bed at night. I brushed them off as fatigue from the move or my mind's paranoia after leaving behind so much of my past. But now, with each passing day, those inexplicable events escalate. Shadows dance across the walls like dark specters when no one is watching. I've grown accustomed to sleeping during the daylight hours and spending my nights huddled under thick blankets, eyes wide open, waiting for the first signs of dawn. It all began on a typical Tuesday evening. Returning from work, I heard whispers in the kitchen, soft murmurs that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. My heart raced as I turned up the TV, hoping it was static, but the voices were too distinct. They sounded like hushed conversations between two people, speaking about things I couldn't understand. Shadows flitted along the walls then, a fleeting glimpse of movement in my peripheral vision that vanished when I turned to face them. My heart thunders against my ribcage as I try to convince myself it's just imagination playing tricks on me. A chill runs down my spine as I lock each door, securing every window. The apartment is mine now. There can't be anyone else here. In the days that followed, these happenings escalated. A book falls from the shelf with an audible thud, pages rustling softly before landing face down. Cups clink in the kitchen when no one's near. Once, I swore I saw a figure in my bedroom window before it vanished into the night. Each occurrence sends my pulse racing and leaves me shaken. At night, the whispers intensify. Names, phrases that sound like warnings, pleas for help. My mind wavers between believing these are hallucinations or something sinister lurking in every corner. As the last rays of sunlight fade behind the cityscape outside, I find myself listening intently to the darkness. There's a presence in here with me, watching my every move and waiting patiently. One night, the whispers become clear. Get out while you can. The voice is close inside my room now. Sweat drizzles down my face as I lie awake, my pulse pounding like a drum. It speaks of things that shouldn't be said aloud in polite company, horrors beyond any nightmares I've faced. A low, raspy laugh echoes through the apartment before ceasing as abruptly as it began. My breath catches as I strain to hear anything else. An ominous silence falls over me and my home. My room is cold despite the sweltering heat outside. The chill runs deeper than skin deep as realization sets in. This isn't just my mind playing tricks on me anymore. Something has taken up residence here with me. I've tried to brush it off, but can no longer deny the truth any longer. Each night brings more pronounced shadows and eerie sounds. One evening, when darkness descends, I'm startled by footsteps outside my door. Slow and deliberate like a stalker stalking prey. My heart pounds as I freeze, listening. They stop right in front of my room. A chill settles over me as I hold my breath. The only sound the thrumming of an unspoken heartbeat in this empty apartment. With trembling hands, I grab my purse to flee, but it's too late. The door handle turns slowly and creaks open with a long, drawn-out sigh. In that moment, I know it wants me out. My legs carry me through the dark, stumbling towards the front door as if guided by unseen forces. Chapter 2. The Whispering Wall. The night draws closer, the air thick with dread. It's been weeks since I've ventured beyond these walls for anything but essentials. Bread and milk, huddled in the shadows outside my apartment door like a homeless soul afraid to be seen. My skin crawls thinking of those footsteps returning, drawing near each night. Tonight is different. I've had enough hiding. Armed with a flashlight and determination, I decide to confront whatever this thing is once and for all. I edge towards the back of the apartment. Shadows swirl like tendrils of smoke around me. The door creaks when I force it open, revealing an old radio on a dusty shelf amidst cobwebs. It flickers to life with an eerie glow, emitting a static to filled air that sends shivers down my spine. Whispers grow louder as I step closer, words becoming discernible. Find her and come home. An icy chill sweeps over me as I reach for the radio's knobs. The voice rises to a crescendo. A cacophony of wretched moans and muffled gasps fill my ears. Fear grips my throat like an iron vice as I turn it off abruptly, plunging us into silence. My heart races, pounding in time with what could be footsteps outside my room door. In the stillness, an image blooms in my mind. A woman in rags, her eyes black as voids, skin stretched over bone. She reaches out a pale hand before fading away. A scream catches in my throat as I flee back into my sanctuary, slamming the bedroom door shut behind me. My breath hammers against the wood, eyes locked on the radio. It flickers back to life once more. An old record spinning, a disc etched with strange symbols that seem to writhe and twist under the glow of the screen. The sound is a cacophony of wails, growing louder still as I cower in my bed, pressing myself into the headboard. In the chaos of shattering glass and splintering wood, I leap up. The door has been ripped from its hinges by an unseen force. Shadows congregate at the opening, swirling like a dark tide. Something is here. The radio's volume surges to ear, to shattering levels as I fumble for a flashlight on my nightstand. My trembling fingers illuminate a figure hunched over the ruined doorway. Tattered dress clings to bony frame, sunken eyes that pierce through me from beneath hanging skin. She reaches out again, emaciated fingers stretching. With hardened throat and breath caught in my chest, I throw the flashlight with all my strength. It arcs towards her, a shard of light piercing the darkness. The figure dissolves into nothingness before my disbelieving gaze. My pulse thunders as I scramble for the door, slamming it shut behind me. Inhaling heavily, I lean against it and wait for something to happen next. The radio's static has turned to whispers once more, words that cut through the silence. Fine, fine. The room seems to shrink as the darkness outside grows thick, a palpable presence that presses in from both sides of the door. I can feel it watching me, waiting patiently for an invitation to enter. My breath quickens. My eyes strain in the dark until they start aching. Shadows seem to pulse with life now, tendrils of blackness stretching towards my haven like gnarled arms. The radio's static intensifies, voices whispering a name I don't recognize. Sarah. Sarah. The figure reappears, closer and closer, then blurs out as if absorbed into the gloom that has swallowed it all. In the stillness after the cacophony, I hear the door groan in protest. An unearthly sigh, an exhale of dust. With trembling hands, I flicker on the light. Emaciated fingers hold a small wooden box with symbols carved onto its lid. Sarah finds me. A figure sits on my bed, hunched over what looks like an ancient tome bound in decayed leather. Sarah's eyes turn to mine, A smile stretches across her face, without any discernible lips or nose. Just the cruel curve of sunken features that stretch wider as she watches me with eyes devoid of humanity. With each breath, I'm rooted to my spot where shadows seem to dance at her command. Sarah speaks in a voice long dead and buried. "You called." Her hands open the book and raises her head to the ceiling in supplication. The box opens with a crack like shattering bone. Pages rustle, releasing a stench of age and decay that threatens to consume me. Sarah rises, moving closer than the shadows themselves. I should run, but my body refuses as I stumble back upon the bed. Cold sheets against burning skin. Sarah reaches out, skeletal hand offered for me to take. Chapter 3. The Final Revelation. I stare at a mummified hand, and then her face, once dead skin stretching across her skull, peeling away like parchment from bone beneath her fingertips. My pulse blazes as I clutch the wooden box. The tome falls to her lap. Sarah's eyes fill with an unspoken hunger. She speaks in a voice that carries on its own. "You called." The words become reality. I'm yanked off the bed and pulled across the room by unseen force. Her bony fingers wrap around my wrist as she drags me into another room. A relic from another century. My breath catches when Sarah sits, lowering herself over the tome, exposing bones like splintered wood beneath her nightgown. In a flash of light, the book opens to the first page. Pages tear free and uncurl, revealing text that reeks of decay. "You called." I strain to speak, but Sarah's fingers tighten around my wrist. It's Sarah who speaks in the same voice from before. In this unholy room, an old photograph surfaces. Sarah in the 1800s with a child, both eyes black as tar. Sarah's nails clawed like talons and rips off her face to expose another. The little girl has eyes that glow like embers. Sarah holds me down on a wooden table, forcing me onto my stomach while she raises the blade above us both. An eternal wail fills me from throat to chest as Sarah's voice speaks again. "Fine, fine." She brings the blade down. It falls upon my shoulder in an arc of crimson and splinters through flesh, slicing through leather jacket. The girl leans over me with Sarah's face and those hellish eyes that have lost all their innocence. They hold a hunger I've seen only in nightmares from the deepest depths. "Fine, fine." Sarah pulls away, rags stain red on my back as I look up at her. Her face stretches into another grotesque smile. "Finish it." Her hands move down my chest like an executioner's scythe and plow through fabric, skin exposed by each slice. I scream until throat is raw, Sarah's voice filling me with ancient words that rip and shred flesh like a living blade. "Find what's lost." It spits me from the table, spitting out entrails onto the stone floor as I rise on shaking legs. My gaze locks on the little girl. Black eyes in her face mirror those of an abomination. Her mouth stretches into Sarah's smile. "You found me." I'm ripped to the floor with a scream still locked in throat as the child rises, taking in this wretched being. She reaches out, a dirty hand holding something else in a fistful of rags. The wooden box. The book falls on my chest, heavy and wet with the metallic scent of old blood. As she turns to Sarah, it's like nothing I've ever seen. My eyes widen as Sarah takes the child from behind. They face each other. No words, just an exchange that sends icy tendrils through my heart. In a night of firsts, I flee as they stare at me with those eyes, and Sarah speaks in guttural voices. I find it all. The child's gaze drifts to mine like coal being pulled towards embers. Sarah grabs her elbow, turns, and they slip into the shadows together, leaving a trail of crimson and tatters behind them. I've had enough. What have you brought here? Sarah rises, the child in her arms. In a whirlwind of darkness, something crashes against my door like an animal trapped inside, then subsides with an unsettling sigh from both. The floor trembles beneath our feet as an old, long-dead thing emerges, a black abomination. I can barely think with blood and rags clinging to me. It lunges across the room, breaking Sarah's back in two. It comes for us. Sarah falls on her side like a broken doll, and I'm face to face with hell. Then I'm not. My lungs burn. Fire burns off the rags around my legs, consuming them whole as they cling to bone and hide beneath me. Skin and muscle sear away, leaving the child's face against mine in a tangle of black skin and red hair that smells like decay and blood. It pulls back. A wail that shakes walls and rattles bones comes from my chest when I try to scream again with Sarah, and she holds me down. The old abomination claws at our faces. The child's face contorts into a scream, then another takes over. I find myself screaming through the face of something else now, buried in blood and rags. She rises on all fours from atop me, while Sarah screams below. Then the little girl is gone. My heart still beats like an animal that refuses to go out. Sarah's eyes glow. Then she looks at me like a child who found her best toy. A young girl smile stretches across Sarah's face, and I find my voice. Help! It sounds as if it comes from another world through the blood and pain. All I can do is stare into those burning coals, screaming in hell, then scream again. A new breath takes me. I'm in Sarah's arms. She's still there when Sarah is gone, when Sarah rises with the child. Sarah stares at them both. An eternal wail comes from my mouth, eyes in a broken doll. In Sarah's embrace and blood that soak tatters of rags. Her face presses against Sarah's as they share an intimate kiss that feels like a nightmare made of tar and ash, hell and dust. And the abomination is buried deep beneath us, under my body. Sarah leans back. She has my heart. No heartbeat, but still breathing. Sarah rises with that girl's corpse in her arms, now holding a living thing. I found it. They are covered in crimson, blood mingling with the rags. And the abomination is Sarah, who breathes out a long exhale through me. My last thought fades. I'm buried alive beneath my own lifeless body as the weight of a century of death settles upon me and an old soul screams. She finds it. The girl's face contorts again before her eyes roll back into their head and another takes over. Then I scream. Sarah's hands rest on my face when I try to open them. I'm buried alive in her blood, my life and spirit, screaming through all that tarred up like ash. Black eyes meet the rags. Her gaze moves away from mine. A girl no more than 5 or 6 years old. An unending wail still escapes me as Sarah raises us both into blackness. In the heart of Sarah's embrace, I find peace. It's morning. I wake with the taste of ash and something else. Blood in my mouth. An old woman lies under white sheets. Sarah holds her close. It found you. She smiles with skin hanging off bone. She tries to speak as Sarah rises, leaving the bed but not me. The old abomination, Sarah, leans over the little girl's chest and whispers with the first dawn light. Get up, get up. Sarah raises her child, Sarah, and I'm buried alive by my own screams and tar that never ends. I scream out until I pass out. It is evening. Sarah still holds a blood that soaked young girl. Black eyes meet mine. Then hers fill with black, as well as the world goes dark, and Sarah's life fades into the girl's. Help me, Sarah says as Sarah's corpse slumps back in her arms. I'm buried alive. I don't know how long I've been out when I wake. We're at a grand estate. A woman lies under white sheets, holding me close while Sarah is buried below my face in tatters. The old girl looks like ash that's found its way into a porcelain doll come to life. Her eyes are black as Sarah's. Sarah, I find it. She finds it. She holds me close. Blood on her lips and ash from my hair. Get up. Sarah tries to sit up. She falls back with all the strength I've lost over the last few days. She's an old woman who died centuries ago, but refuses to rest. Sarah smiles like a girl of 6 and takes the child from the other. Ashta creatures in her eyes look at me. It has black eyes that seem to stare into the heart of me. She leans down to kiss me once more, tongue and teeth, ash and my blood on her lips. Thank you, it says in Sarah's voice. A little girl's smile fades, and I find myself curled up, buried under what was tatters, now linen sheets. It feels so good when she kisses me this time. Sarah speaks softly from above. A young girl with black eyes is looking at me. She holds her child close as a corpse in Sarah's arms. Sarah wakes, and the corpse stutters out like an old woman. Thank you, it says in Sarah, I guess. She lies under tatters no longer. She lies under white sheets, blood all over, ash for hair, still breathing. I'm buried alive. She leans to press her lips to mine. My skin is warm beneath the sheets. It's as if hell has followed me into your life. The corpse tries to sit. The creature kisses me one last time, and I find peace. Sarah tries again. Sarah, I try to push it away as a child of black eyes tries to cling to Sarah, buried alive in ash, blood, her mouth covered with me. You can let it go. Her skin is warm. There's no ash or tatter. I'm sorry, Sarah says with a smile that looks like the kiss I've been given so many times and never known love before this one. I find you. Sarah turns her head to look at me. She smiles warmly. She speaks as if it finds me. It tastes like blood. Sarah holds out her hands. They are warm, pale, so pale that Sarah smiles once more. I have black eyes, ashen tatters. I'm in your arms and buried alive as Sarah's lips meet mine. You will find peace when I join you. Her smile fades to something cold and lifeless. Sarah kisses me once before the door is opened. The corpse lies still. She is still, and so am I. There's blood on my face, ash for hair. It buries itself in Sarah's warm arms. Sarah says it with a voice that isn't her own when Sarah's eyes meet mine. Fine, she can speak. It tastes of me, not her. The old woman kisses me. The corpse holds out one hand, black as my heart. I find you. Sarah turns to look at it. The creature is buried alive and still. An abomination that screams in my face from within Sarah's body when the mouth opens again. Blood falls from those tarred-like eyes, tatter clinging to her hair, blood ash. The little girl curls up against me as Sarah does. She's covered in tatters, black eyes. You will find. Sarah says it like a voiceless scream that still clings to my face, and Sarah kisses me once more. The corpse's warm hands. Sarah holds out a hand. I feel the weight of ash and tatter clinging to them, black. They're warm and pale. I'm in your arms, buried beneath tatters and blood. Not peace, but in Sarah's embrace. She speaks like that when she opens her mouth. It tastes like the girl. Sarah smiles warmly as Sarah meets my gaze for an endless moment before falling still. They look into each other. Then it's me. The corpse is warm but silent now, and Sarah curls up against me, embracing a corpse in tatters, black eyes, and blood. I am buried alive. She kisses me once more. Sarah speaks like I do now as the mouth opens again. Ash falls like rain from her tar, that like eyes. The girl looks at Sarah's face. The abomination is still as Sarah's body opens its mouth. The tatter falls to the floor. Sarah finds peace. I'm in your arms. The old woman holds out a single, pale hand. I'm buried alive, black. It has my heart beating like mine. You find me. A few moments later, it opens with ash and blood. Then Sarah meets your gaze. Sarah curls against you, embracing the corpse that is still buried alive. I am in your embrace. She kisses you once before Sarah falls to her side. Sarah looks at the abomination's mouth. I feel like I'm buried alive when I open my eyes. The child tatters cling. Thank you. It says. The corpse opens its mouth, black eyes that look into mine, and screams. Sarah is still in peace. They stare into each other's faces. Then it's me. You find. The creature is silent now, buried beneath tatter. I am Sarah. I'm Sarah. You're the first, Sarah says as my lips part to ash. Her mouth opens wide. I try to scream. Black eyes meet mine. She kisses me again. Sarah. It tastes like the girl. A few moments later it opens with blood. Black eyes cling. The little one curls up against you. The corpse is still. Sarah holds out pale hands, and Sarah looks at Sarah's face. I am in your embrace. It opens its mouth. Thank you. Sarah says. It screams as I open my mouth with Tardette-like eyes. Sarah smiles warmly. Sarah curls into the side of me. The abomination buries itself in you once more, and then it is silent, buried beneath tatter. Sarah's black eyes look at mine. She looks down. It tastes like the girl, Sarah says, a little smile playing on her lips. I am Sarah. The corpse lies still, face down. Sarah turns to look at the abomination. You're the first, Sarah says before I open my mouth and scream. Sarah curls up against you, as if she's embracing it. It tastes like me. Black eyes meet mine again. They are silent. They are still and silent. I am in your embrace. I'm in Sarah, Sarah says as Sarah holds out her hand. The corpse opens wide, and ash falls into my mouth. You find. I am Sarah. Sarah looks at you with tar-like eyes before it opens its mouth once more. The creature kisses me once, and then it's still. Black eyes cling to mine. Sarah buries itself in me, and we are still. They stare into each other's faces. It tastes like tatter. I am Sarah. Sarah curls up beside Sarah. The girl looks down at you with a warm smile. The corpse is silent. Sarah holds out the corpse's hand. Black eyes meet mine. You're the first, it says as I open my mouth and scream, and then there are no more kisses. I am Sarah. It tastes like Sarah. Sarah finds peace. The corpse is buried beneath tatter. The abomination opens its mouth wide and lets out a final scream before turning to ash and dying. The corpse curls up around me, and I find myself kissing you, and then it's silent. You're the first one, Sarah says with a smile, as we stare into each other's eyes. I am Sarah. The world goes black. I am Sarah. Sarah smiles warmly, but before Sarah can kiss me again, she kisses me and I scream. I try to push it away, but it tastes like you. Sarah curls up against me with a childlike smile on her face. The corpse opens its mouth wide one last time, and then there is only the darkness. They are silent now. Sarah holds out her hand. Black eyes meet mine. It screams. I open my mouth one last time, scream, and then I'm buried alive in Sarah. Sarah turns to look at it before looking back at me with a warm smile. You're the first. The world goes black. I am Sarah. Sarah smiles warmly. Sarah's face looks peaceful. They stare into each other's eyes and say it again. You find, Sarah says, as if in joy. And then there is nothing but silence.